Welcome to Hulmeville, a National Historic District in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Established around 1700 by George Hume Sr. and Jr., the village grew to become the manufacturing center of Bucks County by the early 1800s. Many fascinating people lived here, creating a rich history from the birth of the village to the town that it is today. Join me, spirit medium Karen Hluchan, as I explore the people and events of the past through communications in spirit with those who resided in this historic town. Hi, Dorothy.
Hi, Karen. So nice to see you.
You too. It's great to see you.
Excited about today.
Me too. Me too.
I want to introduce you to Joe Coleman. He's our historian.
Hi, Karen. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Joe. Nice to meet you. Thanks for being here and helping us out with this wonderful exploration of history.
I'm looking forward to it.
So why don't we all go in the meeting room? We can talk about this building before you guys get started.
Sounds great. So, as I first came in here, I kept picking up on and seeing with my gifts of mediumship a smaller building. I keep seeing a smaller building, a smaller schoolhouse that's here. And I was also seeing a woman. She seems, well, definitely taller than me. She may be on the taller side, maybe around 5'7", 5'8". And with her, I saw her as being a little bit of a disciplinarian, where I'm seeing the ruler being hit on the desk to get the attention of the kids. But at the same time, I'm picking up on how much she truly cares about the kids and how much she really wants them to learn.
Yeah, so the smaller building makes sense because this was, there have been a couple of additions put onto the building since it was first started.
I'm also picking up on a gentleman that feels like he is more recent history. I keep seeing him in a gray suit with a red tie. There are some slanted, either gold or some kind of slanted colors. With him, I see medium brown hair, not excessively tall. I would say average height for a man. And I keep seeing him walking through these hallways overseeing. Even when you're having your town meetings and things like that, he's watching over. So is there a gentleman that was like that in the history of this building?
I think Mr. Binder. He was the superintendent for a good amount of time.
Yeah, a principal here. I think he did teach too,
yeah.
And then he was a principal here.
Well, and he really likes to be here. So if you ever catch a glimpse of him out of the corner of your eye, I know that you have also been experiencing paranormal activity. However, I don't think that he is behind that, not that particular.
The treasurer, she has said on occasion she feels like she hears someone walking in the hallway.
And that would be Mr. Binder.
The other that you refer to is our toilets flush randomly. We'll be in a meeting and you can hear a toilet flush.
Well, and with that, I do have to say that would not be the, not the superintendent, but the principal of the school. He's not doing that to all of you. I'm picking up more on the children that used to be here, getting into a little bit of mischief. Yep. So, and we're also going to be exploring much more of the town today. And Joe, are you ready to get out there and explore the history?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, me too. Let's go.
Okay.
Hi.
Oh, hi, Carla. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. I'm Karen Hluchan, spirit medium, and this is Joe Coleman, the town historian.
Hi, Joe.
Thanks for having us at your house today.
Yeah, absolutely. Come on in.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So over the years, there have been a lot of families that have lived in these houses. There's a lot of history in Hulmeville. So after the blacksmith family, that we were seeing that were here as well, and I kept seeing N sons, and I can hear the metal on metal, the darker hair, mustache with that gentleman. Also with him, there might have been something wrong here in the heart towards the end. There's yet another family that would have resided here too. They definitely had children. I am definitely picking up on the number of children that would have been here in this house, coming in and out. Is there also a woman whose name, oh, I'm sorry, that's the last initial, the S. Do you know if the mother of the house also had an S for a first initial?
I'm not sure of, I believe it was Jay, but their name was, it was Mark and I believe Jean Shepcott.
Okay, so the S was for their last name then.
Yeah.
And a lot of children.
I don't know the size of the family. I know they had children, and the Shepcotts have been in town for generations and were leaders in the town, in the fire company. Mark Shepcott was later the mayor of Hulmeville.
Oh, fantastic. Well, and hopefully we'll pick up on him throughout the town as we're
Right.
going around.
So he may have been, I'm not exactly sure, he may have been here as a child, but this isn't where he lived in adulthood. He was elsewhere then.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Joe.
Sure.
We appreciate it.
Okay.
Joe, I am so excited. We are here on Main Street in Hulmeville, and this home is one of the original homes built by the Hume family in 1804.
Yeah, a lot of history here. Very important to the town being established, this home and the business that was here.
Fantastic. You ready to go in and meet the homeowner?
Yeah, it'll be great.
Great. Awesome. And look, this is the original doorbell,
Wow.
and it works. Hi, Caroline. How are you?
Lovely.
Thank you for having us here today. I'm spirit medium Karen Hluchan, and this is Joe Coleman, the town
Nice to see
historian.
you. Why don't you come on in?
Oh, thank you so much. Hi, Caroline. It is wonderful to have the access to this beautiful historic home of yours, as well as all of this art that you are also collecting and selling. And we were really interested in this home also on Main Street in Hulmeville, because it is one of the earlier homes that was built here. And I wanted to ask you too, have you been, I know you've had some experience with activity in this household. I almost asked you what it was, but I know that things have also fallen down in this house. There are electrical issues as well. There's still old electrical wiring in these walls, correct?
Yes.
Thank you, because they're showing me. I'm actually seeing that as we're talking. A lot of history here, and what I wanted to start with, though, was the original with regard to the daughter of John Hume and her husband that had built this house. And they built it to last, obviously.
Yes. Joshua Cranby, I think is his name. And this first deed of sale that we have on the wall was from 1804.
Oh, my goodness. Fantastic. And we're still here.
And it's still going.
Yes, and I know, Joe, as the historian, there's a lot that you know about the location as well. And when I walked in, one of the first things that I was picking up on was clerical work being done in the front room, and I kept seeing a wooden desk. And to me, it felt like the business that the son-in-law was running, which happens to be the carriage business. But I was also picking up on the gatherings that would take place. And Joe, if you could talk to both of those things, because the gatherings came a little bit later in the history.
Yeah. So Joshua Canby had a carriage shop. He produced carriages, and he seemed to have been very successful and had a lot of people working for him. He advertised his carriages for sale in the papers. John Hume had originally bought this land and then sold it to Joshua Canby and his daughter, John Hume's daughter, Mary Hume. And then they built the house in 1804. And so they were here for a while, and the Cambys stayed in Bucks County into the 21st century. But later on, the house became the property of Jesse Webster, who was a very successful farmer, but also, and it's kind of interesting, given all the artwork here now, he became the county's best-known auctioneer. And he did that into old age, into the 1890s. So he was about 95 when he died. And the newspaper article I read said that they had just about everybody in town came to his funeral services, which they said were both Quaker and spiritualists. So the spiritualist movement was very big in this area. They had huge gatherings here in the summer, and apparently Jesse Webster was a part of that.
And bringing the people together. Very interesting. And how do you feel about some of that history you were just hearing about?
It's almost like it's repeating itself.
Yes.
We also buy and sell artwork. We spend a lot of time at auctions, and we have large parties. So
There you go.
it's
Many
like
gatherings.
it never stops.
So the house's original intent has kept going all of these years.
He also had Edward Hicks work for him for a while as a painter. He painted the carriages, and of course Edward Hicks later on went on to become, not in his lifetime, but his artwork later became world renowned, and Sells for millions of
Wow.
dollars now.
As a medium, in trying to pick up information about the history of this house, I have to be careful not to pick up on the history on every single piece that's in here.
Absolutely.
So I wouldn't be surprised about a lot of activity, but to me, sometimes people take that as, oh, there could be scary things. It's really not. I mean, they're very friendly. They want you to know about them, and they love the fact that you are collecting their art and then giving it new life by giving it to, well, selling it to other people as well. As I'm sitting here, I keep picking up on someone, a gentleman out front. There's a cigar smell out front with regard to just someone relaxing on that front porch. So, and very particular with regard to pipe or cigar, not cigarettes. So if you smell that, please know it's some of our founding members.
Very nice.
I can just tell you that Jesse Webster's son, Hugh, whose house was down the other end of town, but certainly would have been here, started growing and had huge fields of tobacco and
Oh,
tobacco
thank you.
drying sheds here in town.
And so is that the brother
The son of Jesse.
Okay, the son. Okay. So who knows, Joe? Maybe when people are going through the ghost tours or even walking through the town, they might catch sight of Jesse's son out smoking a cigar, or even Jesse himself sitting there and just enjoying the night air.
Sure.
Awesome. Thank you. And
Sure.
thank you, Caroline. Thank you so much. Hi, Erin and Mike. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Oh, doing great. We are really excited to check out the history of your house today.
Well, thank you for coming. Should we go in and get started?
Absolutely. So, Joe, here we are in a house on Main Street in Hulmeville that is circa 1823, which is really exciting. I can see the original floors here. And when I first walked in, I kept smelling a very strong scent of hickory smoke, which whenever I'm in an older house that has a long history and definitely did the wood burning, I will smell that. There's also a lady that I was seeing that she is an older woman, past possibly in her 60s. I kept getting a wheeze in my chest with regard to her. And I was seeing a cap covering her head that was a little frilly around the edge. She definitely had difficulty getting up the steps. Now, there was mention of this possibly being a shop prior, but I also felt that people lived here even way back in the beginning. So I don't know if it was dual purpose.
Yeah. So the early history of the house is a little bit unclear. We do know, though, by the 1870s, it was a store. The owner advertised in the newspapers, and it belonged to a man named Howard Meredith. And the big thing about it for the town was, right as the town incorporated, the new Burgess who came to town, his name was James Snowden. He was a new resident, had gotten elected Burgess, and he decided to start a YMCA in town. And apparently talked to Howard Meredith, and Howard Meredith agreed to raise the roof on the second story of this house so they could have a hall.
Right,
there.
and that's where I was seeing gentlemen gathering, but for political purposes, even a gavel coming down, and then, like an open and closing of a meeting.
Yeah, and that would make sense in a number of contexts. The Hulmeville Borough Council, when it first was created, had no meeting place, so they did at times meet there.
Oh, well then that does make sense.
In addition to that, the YMCA of that time was a place where you had lectures and debates. It wasn't an athletic type of thing that we think of today. And those meetings would have been run like that, according to formal rules, and I'm sure that they opened them with the gavel and prayer and all that sort of thing.
And I want to talk to the current homeowners, because this house has quite a history. And Mike, it is wonderful to meet you, and Erin, thanks for being here today. With this house, you had some documents that you received that someone had given to you about this history, and you might have been experiencing some of the paranormal activity going on. Even as I'm talking, I can feel the wheeze from the lady as well. Now, with this house too, there was also a fire that took place a long time ago, and I wondered if that hickory smell was either from the old fireplaces or from the fire.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We saw that for a little while the house sat empty, and there were vandals, and that there was a fire here at that time. But
Yeah, and there is still some charring. They kept the door that originally had the fire on it, and then some of the old structure, the center of the structure. But it's just amazing, and I'm really glad actually the house is still standing. It's got a lot of great history.
Yeah.
So, and any other experiences that you've had with spirit or anything like that while you're here?
Just our son in the middle of the night, Mom, Dad, after you're asleep, I hear you talking. And that's
It's
about
not really you guys.
No, it's not us.
You're
We're
asleep
asleep.
too. Okay. Well, and with regard to that, I will ask the grandfathers in spirit and all your protectors to let your son get his good night's sleep. Okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Oh, and thank you for letting us be here to learn about the history of this wonderful home and this town. And thanks for everything you've brought through too, Joe. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you for
Thank you
coming.
both.
Thanks. So Joe, here we are in the house that was connected to, and is still connected to, Johnson Hall, where we're going to be getting to that with all of the interesting things that took place there. Where we are here now, this is occupied by Inverse Paradox, and they work on websites. However, when I'm walking in here, it has nothing to do with the internet and everything to do with history. Mm-hmm. And the gentleman that I am seeing right off the bat, I keep getting very tall. He feels very commanding to me. I can feel the pressure in the left side of my chest with regard to him, and also not speaking at the very end. I don't know if you know how he passed, but there is something here on the left side, and then not being able to speak. I'm also getting something right behind my right knee from him, so I don't know if he had an injury at some point. If you don't know, that's okay. The big thing about him is his presence. And he just keeps coming across as being not only head of the household, but also very involved in everything going on in the town. And the interesting thing is he was here in 1870, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Johnson Hall was built in 1871. And he was definitely a presence in the town. When he built this building, both sides, it was written up in all the newspapers across the county as the greatest hall in the county at the time, and kind of put Hulmeville on the map. And I don't think it's a coincidence that it's right at that same time that Hulmeville works to incorporate. So early in 1872, just a couple months after Johnson Hall opens, they petitioned to incorporate. And he was a leader in that movement and many other organizations in town.
And he feels not just commanding, but very formal. Even in his attire, I feel very formal with him. And I also notice as I was talking about him, I'm tripping over my words a little bit. And when that happens to me as a medium, it means he also may have had difficulty speaking at the end. Mm. And with him too, I keep picking up on a cigar. I keep sensing a cigar in his hand. Yeah. Anything about that with him?
I don't know of him to be a smoker or not. But what you said about him being very formal, he was really highly respected around the town, and he was a businessman, and engaged in a lot of different activities besides the hall and the store. So he definitely, as you described, had a commanding presence.
And also too, this is a gentleman that did not like alcohol. Nowhere in this house. Mm-hmm. After he wasn't in this house anymore, I feel like there was alcohol and it was fine, but while he was here, definitely no alcohol.
Yeah, so at the time that Hulmeville incorporated, the biggest organization in the town probably were the Good Templars, who were a temperance movement. Mm. And John Johnson was involved in that. Hulmeville's original charter banned the sale of alcohol in the town. And he would have been part of that whole movement to do that.
So when the town was founded, they also said no alcohol either.
They did. It only lasted for a few months. The owner of the Hulmeville Inn at the time sued in court and won. And the courts declared that part of the charter unconstitutional.
And I wonder if they're very happy when that all came back in with prohibition.
Yeah.
Not the Hulmeville Inn, but...
Yeah. So, the Hulmeville Inn became an ice cream parlor during Prohibition.
Oh, interesting.
And so, yeah, but aside from that couple months in the very beginning and Prohibition, alcohol's always been allowed here. But the temperance movement stayed strong even into the 1940s.
Okay. So again, they must have been happy in the 1920s.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Sure.
Well, thank you for joining me here in Johnson's Hall Coffee Shop, which this is the original location of Johnson's Hall, which is connected to John Johnson, who originally built it and established it. And in using my gifts of mediumship, I was picking up on the original general store mercantile. I can see the countertops with the wood, and I can also see the cloth that's for sale, a lot of things in it. Also, the meeting place here, gentlemen would meet around the wood stove in the center. I was also picking up on two gentlemen that I kept getting that they were from the firehouse, either in charge of it. And is there anything you can talk to with regard to any of that, with the general store, the firehouse, anything?
Yeah, so it definitely was a meeting place. People congregated here to get the news of the day. They would come to pick up their mail here. And as they did that, the stories that people wrote said that they had a stove in the middle and the men would gather around it. I even read one letter to an editor asking the men to please stay to the side of the room because there's no room for women to get to the counter to buy what they want.
To get to the cloth they needed to purchase. And okay.
So yeah, it was definitely the place where everyone came for news and just to catch up with everyone. And regarding the firehouse, just about all the men in town seemed to belong to the fire company. And so the leaders of the fire company would definitely be here. This would be where you'd be meeting to talk about plans and things you needed to do for the fire company. So.
And two seemed to be coming through quite prominently. Like I kept feeling their energy. Could have been the two that were foremost in charge,
right.
Like a chief.
Mm-hmm. So anyone who was in town and was prominent was probably a leader in the fire company. And the fire company does have two positions who are leaders. There is a chief, and then there's also a president. So they kind of have different roles in their leadership, but there is that two number there.
Oh, wonderful. And also the hall itself, in the floors above us, that was a place of gathering too. The theater, it's also said that Houdini once performed there as well. Mm-hmm. But other gathering places, even up to the third floor as well. The society's up there?
Yeah, so when it was first built, the third floor was built intentionally to be used by the local Order of Oddfellows. So you'll see that plaque outside on the third floor of the building. And they were a very big organization in town, and they met up there regularly. The second floor, the town met in for everything, all kinds of entertainment. They had shows there, but also the graduations from the school took place there. So just about any kind of social event you could imagine was taking place up there.
Well, and thank you. And I am picking up too on some energies here in this space where, there might be a little paranormal activity going on. Nothing harmful, just, kind of messing with the machines a little bit or even the electronics. Also in the second floor as well, that they may have some light issues, that they may have to keep replacing a light bulb, and there's nothing wrong with the light bulbs or with the electronics up there. So the townspeople still like to hang out, I feel, and it's a great spot. It's a great coffee shop. Maybe they like to have the coffee here too.
It makes sense that they would.
Absolutely. So still a gathering place for the town. Mm-hmm. That's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely, yeah.
Joe, thank you so much for all of your knowledge and assistance today. It has been great going around Hulmeville, learning about the history through my gifts as well as your knowledge. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for spending the time with us and giving us some insights into the town. I really enjoyed it. It was fun.
Well, I am looking forward to seeing you around town.
Me
Thanks,
too.
Joe.
Thanks.
Have
Take
a great
care.
rest of your day.
You too.
Thank you.